Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this is Real Estate Spotlight. Joining me today is Greg Kwong, who is Executive Vice President and Regional Managing Director at CBRE here in Calgary. Thanks for joining us today, Greg.
Good to chat with you, Mario.
Let's talk a little bit about the downtown office market in Calgary. As we ended 2021, where are we sitting with the vacancy rate in that market?
Yeah, we ticked up a little bit from the third quarter. We're pretty well at 34% vacancy right now. It's totally what we expected at the beginning of the year. So there was really no surprises. What we are actually pleasantly surprised, though, is that the companies that are still, the oil and gas, the energy companies that are still in the downtown core are doing quite well from a cash flow perspective. So there's a lot of optimism coming from that sector as it relates to 2022 and their growth plans and things like that.
So we're at 34%. I'm assuming that's a record high?
Yes, in Calgary for sure. I think our closest high was back in 87. I think we got to 28%, 29%. So yeah, it's and more importantly, this is on a larger subset of, there's 44 million square feet of buildings here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Back then it was only about 14.
So do you think that the vacancy rate might tick up a little higher this year?
I actually think we're going to stabilize at around 34 or 35%, just because there is the next phase of growth for Calgary, and as it relates to downtown core is the tech sector, the burgeoning tech sector. I think not that they're the only savior of what's going on, but we're going to see that sector grow. We're going to see a few buildings either demolished or repurposed. We're going to see the energy sector a lot of M&A activity this year, but through that, I think we're going to see a little bit of growth. So I don't think we're going to get. No one expects it to go to 40% or anything like that anytime soon.
Let's talk a little bit about the absorption, which is the change in the occupied space in the city. What was the absorption in total for 2021?
I think we had about just under 350,000 square feet of absorption in the first half, and then we had some negative absorption. So at the end of the day, it was because it was negative absorption throughout the year because we started the year at about 32% vacancy rate, and now we're about 34%. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we haven't seen that number tick into the positive for quite some time now, have we?
On a quarterly basis, we saw a few bright spots of positive absorption, but annualized, no, we haven't seen positive absorption for a couple of years now.
Okay, what do you see happening in the market when it comes to the oil patch this coming year? We had some major announcements in 2021, particularly Cenovus, Husky, which obviously impacted those numbers. Do you expect any other kind of mergers and acquisitions this year that will impact the downtown office market?
Yeah, well, I'll just relay what I'm hearing from my friends in the oil patch. They're all, again, the companies that are around today are absolutely puking cash right now at $77 a barrel. They can make money. That's West Texas, of course. And so from that perspective, there, when your balance sheet is, you're buying down debt or paying off dividends to shareholders or paying two dividends to shareholders. I think the next phase is then people are going to start to have to hire with that much cash, that much potential growth. I think we're going to have to see some growth in the hiring sector. So hopefully our vacancy rate will come down a little bit. I don't expect it to breach below 30% anytime soon, but certainly I think we're going to stabilize around this mid-30s level.
Yeah, when you look at the landscape downtown from a geographical perspective, we all know that in many ways, sort of west of 5th Street seems to be an urban wasteland. What do you think is going to happen to that market out in the western part of the downtown core.
Yeah, you're right. And certainly west of Fest Street is kind of where the traditional core was way back in the 60s and 70s. And as Calgary grew, the core is closer to, kind of 7th Avenue and 2nd Street now. So, yeah, I expect, a lot of the buildings that they're talking about either repurposing or demolishing. I think there was 13 applications for to apply for this subsidy that the city was providing for repurposing an office building. I think 11 got approved for the next level. Of those 11, my understanding is 9 of them are west of 5th Street. So hopefully some of those buildings will get repurposed. I won't see if 2 or 3 are either demolished or repurposed. That's kind of what we're anticipating, but I can't see more than that happening anytime soon.
What about investors, Greg? What are you hearing from them about the downtown office market? Obviously, 2021 was a bit of a bright spot in the sense that Oak Street, out of Chicago, basically bought 2 iconic office complexes in Calgary, including the Bow Tower and Western Canadian Place. Do you think there's other investors sitting out there looking at this market?
Well, absolutely. As you know, we were involved in the Western Canadian Place deal, and just in discussions with the U.S. investor as well as others, there was some optimism as far as investing in Calgary. The old adage, buy low, sell high, always works. And I think the optimism scale goes higher the further you remove yourself away from Calgary. So therefore, if you're living in Calgary, you're breathing in Calgary, and you work in Calgary, and all you think about is Calgary, you're a little bit more dire going forward. But as you remove yourself away from the city, and in this case, these people are from the US, but certainly investors from international investors are all looking at Calgary as far as investment is concerned, as a good spot to put some money into.
Yeah, and I talked to the folks at Oak Street, and one of the things they said was attractive to this market was the fact that in both those deals, there were long-term leases in place. So, from an investor's point of view, that's got to be a bonus, right?
Yeah, and there was some criticism as saying, well, they're just buying a long-term lease. Well, at the same time, though, that those leases end, and when you underwrite a real estate deal, there's always a terminal value, and they still had some optimism that terminal value would be higher, years from now. So that's good, and we hope to see more, and we will see more.
All right, super. Thanks, Greg, for joining us today.
Yeah, nice chatting with you.
All right, that was Greg Kwong, who is Executive Vice President and Regional Managing Director for CBRE. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this has been Real Estate Spotlight. Thanks for joining us.